Thanks for joining us here on Let the People Know. It's a special edition. We focus on our veterans, and I am pleased to have State Representative Mike Cabell with us. He represents the 117th District, and there's a lot that your office does for the veterans. So thanks for being with us.
Sure, thanks for having me.
Very awesome. So first of all, so people know how the changes went with the 117th District and the 116th District, both representing pretty much the local constituents of Luzerne County. So where do you cover?
That's probably the number one question I get asked.
Where do you cover?
So Dane, where does the line stop with Dane, and where do I take over? So I cover what we call the Valley, so Butler Township, Sugarloaf Township, Cunningham, and then I go east to Freeland, Whitehaven, Penn Lake Borough, and then I go west to Salem Township. So that's the lower end of the district, but then it kind of goes all the way up to Harvey's Lake Borough, catches the entire county line, Harvey's Lake Borough, but then cuts out all the valley cities, the Kingston, the Wilkes-Barre.
It's weird how those borders go.
Yeah, it's a C for Cabell. That's what
they
did it just for me.
I love that. That's a good way of looking at it. So you still get Freeland. You have you still have all of the valley, and you also then go up. You're not mountaintop.
Not mountaintop, so it cuts out. But I do have New Angola and Dorrance Township, which is actually a mountaintop address, so it gets a little confusing. But it just kind of cuts out all those really populated areas. Essentially, I have all the really rural areas of Luzerne County.
Okay, and how's it been going?
It's amazing. The help that we've been able to provide our constituents on a day-to-day basis with my two offices, one in Dallas Borough, one in Sugarloaf Township by Gould's, has been incredible. The fact that I actually have a quick story. I had a vet-owned business, a veterans-owned business up in Dallas reach out to us. They needed a business license. They were told 6 to 8 weeks. We made a phone call. We got it in a day. That's the type of stuff that's been really awesome to do for.
That's awesome. Yeah. Very fulfilling.
Unbelievably. Yep.
In the community every day, at the office every day, full time.
Exactly. Yep.
Very good.
Unless I'm in Harrisburg.
Right. Yep. But you're full-time state rep.
Yep.
This is what you're doing full-time.
That's it. Yeah.
I love it. So let's talk about, it came across my desk about the Veterans Mobile Center, and that's what led to the show.
Sure.
But there are many things that your office does and things that you do, and Representative Watrow. So let's talk first about the bill that is a connection with you and Dane to get passed for the
So Dane and I are working with a few oothers on both sides.
Okay.
A lot of veterans jumping on the bill, and it's going to put together a task force to deal with some of the stuff with Agent Orange. From Vietnam.
Okay.
So there's folks that are dealing with the effects of Agent Orange. So this task force will put medical professionals, veterans on the task force, and so that we could better develop a plan to communicate how these folks could get help from the state and the federal government.
And I say that over and over on the show. The medical treatment for veterans is so important. The mental side of health has been something that we tend to forget, that these veterans over the years have been dealing with mental health and what they have seen. I don't even want to think about some of the things that they have seen in their lifetime and have served our country so bravely.
And we owe them that. We owe them the
best.
As much as we possibly can.
In my opinion, free health care, we owe them
everything.
We owe them everything.
Agreed. Yep.
Over anybody else.
Agreed.
So anything that you guys are doing, greatly appreciated with whatever bills that support our veterans. So talk about the services that are offered. I didn't realize how much they're offered, how frequently they're offered for our veterans to know. Services, please take advantage of the services, whether you're a veteran yourself or you are a family member of a veteran. Please let our veterans know that these services are really there for their benefit.
On a day-to-day basis. So there's so much stuff that the state could do. Anything related to your combat history, if you need that for your VA benefits, anything you would need related to your service that the state might be able to help with, our folks could. And not only on a state basis, we also have connections to the VA on a federal level. So it's essentially a liaison between our office, the state, Veterans Affairs, and all these services that are open to. So really, there's no limit. I would say if you have any question on on hey, heard something about a program that you may be able to take advantage of. I've had friends of my own reach out and say, hey, is this a tax credit or whatever available to me? I'm like, yeah, we have. Let's look into it. So I encourage folks to just come in, and even if they don't have a particular question, just come in and browse and talk to the people there and see what they might be able to take advantage of.
I've been through the mobile center before, so let's talk about what the Veterans Mobile Center offers as far as awareness for programs and services. What is that center all about? When is it available for veterans, and how do they benefit?
Yeah,
from?
so essentially, they're offering the same services that I offer in my Dallas, in my Sugarloaf office, but in a mobile unit, and all the resources are there. A lot of times when you come to see Brian in my office, he'll have to email you stuff, but all the forms are there. Everything is available at their fingertips, so that you can literally just pull into the Dallas shopping center, make an appointment, and then go in and handle everything right then and there.
So when they make the appointment, would they say specifically
Yes.
what their needs are?
Yeah, I would say if you have a specific ask or a need, I would make that known. If you're just looking to come in and talk with somebody about potential services or anything that's also available to you. The whole idea is to meet these folks where they're at. You know what I mean, and make it easy, because a lot of times they don't really want to go and talk to somebody. They don't, they feel like, there's a sense of pride there. And it's really breaking down a lot of that and just getting someone, a veteran that you could talk to about things that you've gone through and help you out in any way they can.
And some of these veterans are older and maybe they're not tech savvy. So
exactly.
They need to talk to someone in person, or they need to make that phone call, or they're stubborn and they don't want to get services.
Yeah.
So if you know that, or if you even live with a veteran and you see them suffering and you're suffering, this is a good resource for you, especially with it's wheelchair accessible, handicapped accessible. It talks about
employment,
employment referrals,
sure.
and veterans they get out of the military, and then now what's next for me?
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
So where do they fit into the civilian life?
100%. Yeah, and it's a network as well. So a lot of times you'll be able to, you're chatting with another veteran that might have an idea of where you might fit in the workforce, and that is one of the biggest struggles. They come back and they're trained specifically on so many things, which that fits very well into a lot of industry. But sometimes it's just making that match and having them understand. So being able to come in and talk to somebody that understands what your skill sets are, what you've been trained for. They can help on the employment, and it goes back to, sure, there's counseling, family counseling, marital counseling, the whole 9 yards. So it's a one-stop shop.
And then just to bring up some of the other services that I didn't realize they offer, maybe you're dealing with alcohol or drug addiction.
Yep.
So that's something that is very confidential that you can talk with them about. What kind of community resources do they offer?
So any community resources that would be similar stuff that we offer in our office to anybody. Like, so if they had anything that any issues with the state, they could refer them back to us for any sort of like property tax rent rebate services, unemployment, that kind of thing. So all of the issues that you might deal with on a day-to-day basis as a civilian, not necessarily related to veteran stuff, they'll kick that back to us and expedite it. But then as well as any issues you might have getting into the VA. The same thing with this veteran, the veteran that I helped up in Dallas. He had an issue where he needed his combat service profile in order to join an American Legion, or so we could help with all of that kind of stuff too.
So there's services out there if you're a veteran and want to open a business.
Oh yeah.
If you're an entrepreneur, there are different things that
Yeah.
they offer for veterans.
Yeah, yeah.
There are so many services, again, that we're just not aware of, or you might not be aware of, that could benefit you just by serving the country. Then for veterans individual counseling, they can call your office as well.
Yeah, so we have Brian, who comes in from the American Legion. He does outreach, and he has my office, so I don't go in the office that day. He has individual appointments that it's in private. My staff isn't in on it. You're just with Brian, and he has similar services he can provide there, and that's by appointment. That's every second Wednesday in my Dallas office up in Twin Stacks, and then every third Wednesday of the month in Sugarloaf. And again, you just call my office. I think we're pretty far booked out. I just got an email. They said they're booked through March. So call now. If you have an issue that's more urgent, just get a hold of us. We'll get you what you need.
That shows you the need of how many veterans need services.
Yeah.
I mean, it's overwhelming how many of these veterans. And what are you seeing in your position, what do you see as far as what are the major needs of our veterans?
I think it's jobs. I think it's work. I think work is number one. And then we talked about a little bit off camera, is some of the PTSD issues and counseling. And PTSD could be, of course, if you see combat, but PTSD could come from any, and there's a lot of resources out there for folks. And there's a lot of things coming through as far as alternative treatments for folks with PTSD. So I think that's our number one issue, because a lot of times veterans can't get jobs because they're dealing with the issues of PTSD. So, really attacking that core issue, I think that's one of the biggest things. So getting them to talk to somebody is, and I've talked to a lot of groups that are working outside of the VA sphere. They do these groups where it's coffee and campfire. It's a fantastic group where veterans sit down, they just have a coffee and they talk to each other. It's just fun. Yeah, it's really, really cool, and it's encouraging them to, again, they don't want to talk about this stuff. When we have to get them to, and they don't need to talk to me about it. I can't really understand what they've gone through, but there's people out there helping them that can help them on a day-to-day basis.
As a journalist, when I have veterans on, sometimes that's the most nervous I get.
Sure.
Because you don't want to cross that line of asking something that's so personal, because some of the stories and some of the events that they've lived, is like worse than my worst nightmare.
Right.
So it's something you don't want to touch.
Yep.
It's
and you have to meet them where they're at, right?
Yes.
I mean, you don't want to. You have to kind of let them guide you as to how much they want to talk about it.
Yeah, you feel it out.
Some people talk, some don't.
Some write books about it,
sure.
And other people hold everything in, and it's emotional. We are with our state representative, Mike Cabell of the 117th District. When we come back, we'll talk about more services that the office provides for our veterans. You're watching Let the People Know right here on SSP TV. And welcome back. You're watching Let the People Know, our series focusing on our veterans. And if you are watching, you are a veteran, we thank you for your dedication and service to our country. We are with State Representative Mike Cabell of the 117th District, talking about the services that are offered for our veterans locally, his constituents, and what we're doing to help veterans get jobs, take care of their health, mentally and physically, and make sure that they are taken care of after they serve.
Yeah, it's really one of the most rewarding things I could do. My predecessor, Rep. Karen Bobak, was she was the chair of Veteran Services before she left. So I had big shoes to fill there with veterans, not being a veteran myself, but having the utmost respect and gratitude towards what they have done. I've done everything I possibly can in order to fill her shoes. So things like the Mobile Veterans Expo and Brian coming to the offices, but also the Mobile Veterans Unit, but also our Expo that we do every year in November, which is an annual thing that she actually started years back, and then we've continued, and we did it last year, and we're going to do it this year.
So talk about the Expo.
Yeah, so Misericordia is nice enough to host us. We're in Insulaco Hall in their theater, and in the beginning what we'll do is we come in, and it's a whole program to recognize the veterans. So it's welcome to anybody. They just call and register for the event. If you register for the event, you and your significant other are free of charge, no admission. And in the beginning, we'll have folks. We had their band. We had the president of the university actually play in the band. Cool. It was really cool. And then we were able to stand up, greet every single one of the veterans as they came in. We gave them a pin. So every year we'll have a new unique pin for them. A lot of them like to wear them on their hats. So I have the opportunity for them to come through as a procession and thank each and every individual one for their service. If they have a couple questions, we sit there and talk. We had a 101-year-old World War II vet speak at the last one, which that was unbelievable. There's not many of those guys around or gals around, so it was really
and to get them to speak.
And he drove himself there.
Of course he did.
He was inspiring. It was absolutely amazing. So that was just the program, and then we have the vendors and the expo afterwards, which it's just incredible. Similar services and even more so that we do at our office at the mobile unit.
So anyone's invited to attend this?
Any veteran, yep.
Okay, and it's save the date. It is November
is Saturday, November 2nd at Misericordia in Sulaco Hall. You call 570-359-2138 to reserve. There'll be a lot more information coming out. If you call now, we'll just get your name on the stuff. But it'll be in my mailers, and then we'll have flyers all over about it. But it was a huge success. We had hundreds of people there last time. We want to continue to build on it and just show our appreciation.
What are some of the comments that people say to you as far as what are they looking to get out of the expo?
So, I mean, it was unbelievable. Shaking these guys' hands and the thank you and the appreciation that we got for very little that we've done. I mean, really, it took and Carol in my office takes weeks to prepare and whatever it is. But it's just a small sign of appreciation and just the recognition. Number one, I believe, is one of the most important things to them. So them thanking me and me being like, no, thank you for being here. Thank you for what you've done. That I think was really special for them. So on that end of the ceremony, I think that was really cool. And that's something that they really appreciated. But then you walk down the hall. We had some light refreshments, and then you walk in the hall, and it's an expo. So you have vendors all from the federal government, from Dan Muser's office, from Cartwright's office, and then from the VA, insurance companies, and then you have really cool charity and organizations like Heroes Hearthstone. That's a group that I met that I referenced them earlier as they do these coffee and conversation, and campfire conversations, where they go to a campground or something and they provide the coffee and they sit around and they help each other. So I met that organization. They've been to my office since, and it's incredible what they do. As a nonprofit, they have day jobs, but this is what they do as a nonprofit. They're really trying to build it. So it's just the opportunity to meet folks like that. I'm sure there were plenty of people that came to that, met them, and ended up going to one of these coffee and campfire events.
So let's talk about those. It's called Heroes Hearthstone.
Correct.
It's a new 501c3 nonprofit organization. Who formed it and why did they form it? How much do you know about it?
So out of Dallas, two veterans out of Dallas, they came to me. It started with just them, and now the group has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. And they came to see me, and it got a little emotional in my office when they told me about some of the stuff that they do. They've developed relationships outside of this group, and the one gentleman told them that if it wasn't for this group, that there was a good chance that he was going to commit suicide. And unfortunately, or fortunately, it sounds like that's actually a common story inside their group. But they deal with their whole idea, and it is really cool. It's a different way to deal with the trauma. And there's so many ways to deal with trauma, but the way that they do it is these guys, they're big burly guys, but they're doing hot yoga. They're doing yoga nidra, like yoga sleeping techniques. They're talking about mindfulness, and again, that's one of those things where, my stepdad was a Marine. That's I couldn't imagine him doing that kind of thing. But these guys, when you see these guys doing it, and they explain hey, this is how we slow our mind down, and we get, we really assimilate back into society. Hey, whatever tool works, and that's something I firmly believe in. Is really, it starts with your mind and your body.
I didn't know your dad was a Marine.
My stepdad, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did not know
Charlie
that.
Altmiller, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So he was a Marine.
Once a Marine, always a Marine, they say.
That's right. He's a veteran. So again, you have the expo coming up. We're gonna, if you need more information, you can call your office and you can connect them with the Heroes Hearthstone.
Correct. Yep. Absolutely.
And then we have coming up, just to reiterate, the dates for the
Sure.
Mobile Veterans Center is every third Friday of the month.
In Dallas, in the Dallas Shopping Center, yep.
Okay, and then what are the other?
And then we have our Dallas office, which is in the Twin Stacks building. That is every second Wednesday, and then Sugarloaf office every third Wednesday.
Okay, so we have about 4 minutes left. Can you share with us any personal stories that you have or that stick out in your mind that you've had with veterans?
Yeah.
With our audience.
Absolutely.
Over the year that you've been as our state rep?
So, I'll share a personal story first, and how my family and I, we would go down to the to DC to go to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, and I take my 11-year-old there, and he's now 11. He's been there I think 3 times, and it's really his favorite thing to do, which is crazy because it's not all that exciting. It's not, but it goes to show the sacrifices that have been made, and that's one thing that we try to go as often as possible to remind ourselves of that. So that's my personal life. life. As a rep, really, it's been incredible seeing Brian, what he does in my office. The fact that we're 2 months booked out in his services in my office, that's good and bad. I mean, it's good that we're booked out and that people are coming to see him, but it's also bad that there's people probably inside those 2 months that need those services. So, I sit right behind on the floor Rep. Gillen and Rep. Watro. Rep. Gillen is the chair of Veteran Services, and Rep. Watro is on that committee and is a veteran himself. So it's kind of cool because anytime anything that's veterans related comes up, I'm leaning into to Mark or leaning into Dane and making sure I'm as supportive as I possibly can to those guys. So and there's so many things that we really need to focus on for them, and it goes back to a lot of times the mental health, the accessibility for these services, the VA, which I hear is doing much better. There's been some issues I know with our VA up in Wilkes-Barre, but talking to the gentleman that owns the pork place up in Dallas, I was talking with him, and he actually said that it has very much improved since some of this stuff. I think Trump made some changes, and now it has improved. So, it's doing whatever we can to help them assimilate back into everyday civilian life, because it's a lot of times a struggle for them.
And again, as a constituent watching, if there are any concerns that you think that Representative Cabell can bring to the floor, please contact his office. That's what you're here for, to represent.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the idea. I say it all the time. Like, I represent 64,000 people. I want to hear from them. That's like what's important to those folks is what's important to me. So, and a lot of times some of the best ideas come from a constituent, So I know for a fact that the Task Force on Agent Orange, that was a suggestion, not to me, but to another rep. And then they ran around and got bipartisan support, and we're going to roll this out here. So it's things like that. That's how you make change. And it really does come from, a quick idea. Give us a call, shoot me an email, and we'll get working on it.
The key word there is bipartisan. It's great when both sides can work together,
100%.
Together and get these bills passed that actually affect the voters out there.
It's easy on these issues to be bipartisan. I don't think our idea matters.
I would hope so.
I think on veterans issues, usually they're the ones that the whole screen is green.
Good.
Thank goodness, because that's how it should be.
Good, very good. Well, thank you for joining us on the program. Again, we have those dates on. If you have any information that you need from Representative Cabell's office, you can give them a call. Again, you're watching Let the People Know. This is our Veteran Series. If you have any topics of interest that you think I could have on the show, just email us at ssp@ssptv.com, and we'll see you next time.